Hello and welcome to another exciting session of the course Let's Excel Together. Here we'll be taking another lap at functions and formula bits. We've covered the arithmetic operations, some on the ground knowledge of statistical functions. We've looked at conditional functions, reference functions, and now we'll be looking at what I tag text functions. Text functions. So if you recall during the entry and formatting bit, we made mention of different types of data that is stored in the application. You recall where I said under the home tab, we have this number section, different types, and then we said we have literal text. Okay, that's to say that non-numerical data that you want the Excel application to read as a text, because we've learned to see that what is displayed in the cell is not always same as what is contained in the cell, hence picking into the formula bar and the likes. So now text functions, there are several text functions. We'll be going over just a few of them. Okay, I'm just simply going to quickly wipe this area here. Okay, so I'm wiping this from our previous session and text function. So for text, like we already have text that typed in here, we have regions, the rep, the items, these are like words. Now sometimes you could have data, that are sent to you. These are some areas where it comes in handy. It's sent to you, so you have to format it. Okay. So let's assume like this came in and some words were not properly typed in terms of the case here. I'm referring to uppercase or lowercase. In some other spaces you say um, small alphabets, in capital letter, in small letter, caps, no caps. We're all speaking to the same thing. A universal way of putting it is to say in lowercase or in uppercase. So if I, for instance, this is a U, the letter U in lowercase, and this is U in uppercase. Now from naming conventions, let's use names. Names are supposed to begin with an uppercase. So my name is what, Belema Grand, right? So this is the right way to write a name. But you may have cases where, oh, all the names that are sent to you, they are not consistent. All of them are just in lower cases. What do? You want to convert them. You can't. It would be painstaking if you have a list of say 100 to manually go, and correct that. There are different ways to perform such actions. Okay, you could use the proper. Okay, we have proper, we have lower, depending on your need. We also have upper, as the name implies. So proper. Now before we use proper, let's just start with lower. So let me say lower equal to symbol. Okay, lower. So you convert all letters in a text string to lowercase, and here I'm just going to convert the name, this rep here. Okay, so that's the object, the function rather, and it only needs a single argument in it. So for you to specify the text, if you want to type in a literal text, you could just enclose that in quotes. All right, and I close this, and so you see that the value that is in cell C2 has now been converted to all lowercase. Now if I should drag this down, you see that it applies to everything. Based on autofill, the value, the cell is just incrementing. Remember what we learned in our previous session about absolute referencing and relative reference in terms of cells. Okay, so because of this is relative reference, so as I did autofill, it just increments. Okay, now this same area we can now say let's convert all of these to, excuse me, uppercase. So similar action, upper, right? Instead of selecting C2, I want to just select the value in O2 here, and I hit enter, and it performs, that same action of now converting everything into upper cases. Okay, into upper cases. Now I'm going to I'm going to use another function, you know, to before I explain proper. Now, proper basically, is that you feel that proper to better understand proper will be to use it to apply it to what we have here in our very first cell of entry, where we have the names, and these names are improper. They are properly typed out. We have the course properly typed out. Now let me just go over here to say upper. I'm going to change it all to upper, right? Hit enter. I'm going to apply down and replicate the same action. Instead of the name here, I'm going to change it to the course. Then change it to the course. And I'm just going to take off this bit using auto fit to make the content of the column more visible. Okay. Now let's excel together. It's all is in all caps. For me, it's just so much in my face. I prefer when it's neatly typed here. Following proper conventions. So if I'm to say proper here now, I say equal to, okay, and I say proper. So it converts a text string to proper case. The first letter in each word will be upper, and other letters to lower case. That's like in computing terms, another place where you see expression of proper is to say sentence case. Okay, so you see, let's excel together. Now it appears properly. Okay, if I were to apply this to the names, instead of using I2 and I make reference to H2, you see now it's now like displayed properly. I was trying not to use the same word, but now it's displayed properly. So these are examples of usage of these popular text functions. All right. However, I wouldn't feel okay if I do not introduce another text function to you. Okay. Now this other text function is called concatenate. Concatenate, depending on where you are, the pronunciation, perhaps it's not the correct pronunciation. Forgive me for that. Concatenate. So concatenate is to join two texts together. To join two texts together. Now, you recall we did use the flash fill to separate the first name from the last name here, right? Now I'm just going to include the last name. I'm simply going to do that by just typing grand. I'll say grand here and flash fill, so that takes care of his bit. Flash fill, we covered flash fill in our sessions on entry. Please, if you're forgetting, just try to refer to those videos or modules, so you can, familiarize yourself with everything. So you have all of these things at fingertips. Because as you can see, we're building on what we've learned, so far. I'm going to take this off here or just create another column. Now, procrastinate to join two texts together. Two or more texts, actually, so the spelling of the function is co. So there's a abbreviated version of concat, you know. It's still same as the procrastinate. The procrastinate was in earlier versions, and you recall when we're speaking about when you see this symbol, like a warning on a function, it means that it was applicable to earlier versions. It's still relevant in current versions of the Excel application. However, this is an improved version of it. So this is more like just improving the name, to reduce having to type all of that. So you have concat, and it still performs the same action. So it procrastinates a list or range of text strings. Okay. So here you now specify your text. So you can say text one here, text 2 here. Okay, now watch what happens when I hit enter. It pulls them together. It just pulls them together. And if I were to replicate same thing, in the cell below, you see that it's just merging it together, literally like the command, you know it's giving that instruction. Put it together. Put it together. Sometimes this is not what you want. Sometimes you want it to appear as this Belema, space grained, you know. So this is to tell you that that space that is a character as well. You know, I'm being careful to not call it a text. It's a character. So the concatenate does not just combine text strings. It combines character. So a character is also a text string. So remember, well, so now if I type in a text, a literal text string, if you recall from our earlier session, we said you should enclose it in quotes, and for me, I recommend in double quotes. So here, rather than just concatenate the values in cell G2 and H2, I'm saying concatenate value in cell G2. Also, in quotes, now I hit space bar. So a space now is a text, it's a literal text, which is a character, and I put a comma. Now when I hit enter, you see that there's now a space there, grand. I replicated the same function formula down to the cell below. So you're seeing that there's Boma space grand, and if we were to now apply this, it now gives a better look to it. Now there are several instances where you want to apply a concatenate function. You can specify a little text before, perhaps your title. You want to say Mr. here, right? And I could even just give it space, and then I'm going to put a comma, right? And I do this. So now we're saying Mr. Diamagrin. However, you can say, oh, what was initially given to you was just a Diamagrin. So you can think of ways where this applies to, where you can apply this to your current scenario. Okay, what are you doing currently? Where do you think you can apply the concat function to? Another variant of the concat function, if you do not wish to write the concat function as it is, you can simply, if this is, you have to get familiar with the cell locations, to say Belema, this is the value here. Instead of the concat symbol, you now use ampersand. All right, that's the ampersand symbol. And same way, I'm going to put this here, but instead of a comma, I'm using ampersand, right? And then I include the next value. I hit enter, and you see we're getting that same kind of result. Okay, so functions, that I want to come to introduce to you under text functions, the proper, lower, upper, and concat. Now there is another function, um, still as it's funny I'm saying this is text function, but it's a function known as the text function. Now this function is quite tricky and a bit, well, not necessarily advanced. You use this based on your peculiar need. Now, because there are different variants of when you're trying to use the text function. Just to explain that, I'm going to put it into text now. Say text. Now let's see, it converts a value to text in a specific number format. So here you provide a text or a value, and then you tell the application, the Excel application, I want you to encode this or decode this in a particular format. So this is why I said it's tricky, is that, for instance, you have Jones. What format do you want Jones expressed in? You need to be familiar with the format. Personally, when I use it, I use usually with date values. So I have this column here, date. So I select it. And now the next argument is to specify the format. Here I just want to extract just the year. Okay, so I know, because I'm familiar with it, this is something you need to also do research on. So I just impute y, 4 y's. I close this, and it returns the date. Now for months, because I know it. I just put in if I want the month shown like this, like this, and if I'm to just use autofill, you see that it still applies, to specific areas. This, you're saying that it's February 26th, and so hence the month February, as the case may be. Now, what I would recommend is, for you to use the text function, you need to get familiar with the various formats. right? So the various formats, I'll try to furnish you with a list of formats that I know, in the description, so you can check that out. But on your own part, on your own beat, try to explore, research to find out more formats that you think you would be using and needing, in the course of exercising your functions and in quotes your activities. Okay. Um, Proper lower upper concact text. There are other functions. Now these functions, it helps you to extract values. So these functions are what now? Left, we have right, we have mid. The left and right, they work similarly where you're extracting numbers of characters. So left returns the specified number of characters from the start of a text string. So now to use it, you specify a text string. So let's say C2 here. Now the next thing to specify is the number of characters I want returned. So if I want just two characters, that means it will return the first two characters because it's starting from the left. Okay, and I hit enter, so which is Joe. If I'm to replicate it for the next cell, KI, you go down, you see JA, and you can confirm that that is what it's supposed to be. Now, if I'm to reverse this to say right, you know, still C2, I say return 2, it should be ES because it's returning two characters from the right, the first two characters from the right. So you see, rightly so, it says ES, and for this one, it's double L, and you have NE when I replicate the same function in this here. Okay. Now, you may be wondering, like, why do you need this? When do you think you will need this? It varies on your usage. You may be faced with a situation where you need to extract XYZ number of characters. And if you're not, it's good to just be aware of a function like this. So if the need arises, you're not you're not unprepared. Okay. And there is a variant to it, the mid function. Now the mid function, mid, all right, so it returns the characters from the middle of a text string, giving a starting position and length. So the left and right, we're just saying, oh, give this text this number of characters. So it starts based from the left or from the right, depending on the function you're using. But for the mid here now, you specify the text, the start number. So it doesn't just assume a start number. You have to specify the start number. So I'm going to start the number at 2. And watch what happens. I want it to return, how many characters should it return now? 2 characters. Now, look at everything here. The text is C2 is starting at the second character, right? Which is O, and is to return 2 characters. What are the 2 characters you should return? All right, let's find out if you're correct. ON. So let's compare to see that's correct. C2, and we said start from the second character, which is O, and return 2 characters. So ON, and that's correct. Okay. So try to just play this, something to play around with. If you find it useful or something that you can apply to your own operations, I'm glad to have been of help. If not, no knowledge is waste. That's something one of my old professors would always say. No, there's no such thing as useless knowledge. No knowledge is wasted. So thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next module where we'll be going into analysis. Thank you again. Goodbye for now.